Hello again. Did you think I was gone? Anyway, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is because I'm reviewing the Switch 2, which, as we already know, is a big topic because I covered this, I think when it was released. I took down a video because it doesn't align with my views right now. So here I am making another video about it at 10:30 at night, because why not? Anyway, let's begin. So the first thing I'd like to cover when it comes to the Switch 2 is the pros. You're getting a decent enough GPU that's actually better than the other options, like the ROG Xbox Ally and the Steam Deck, for instance, both of which have a wider range of games, for instance. And yeah, you're also getting way better loading times for Switch 1 games, so if you're coming in from a really old and crusty Switch 1 like I was, you're in for a real treat, because those loading times, ooh, you're gonna love them. The Switch 2 also supports 5 GHz Wi-Fi. I saw that when I was setting it up for the very first time, and at least now you're not going to have problems with the Joy-Cons coming off, because I remember back on the Switch 1, the latches on the Joy-Cons wore out pretty easily. So if those wore out, you were kind of just gonna have to deal with it. Another thing I'll give the Switch 2 is generally you're going to have a much better time on it. The storage is way better. Games actually feel like they belong there. For instance, Pokemon Pokopia, that takes a really good advantage of it. And the Switch broadcasts in native 4K and has HDR. Game chat is also really a good addition, albeit it's badly implemented because, well, we have other alternatives. Game share is also a really cool addition. I've actually used it while on a game chat call, and I find it really helpful. Just to kind of, play around with a game without actually, getting the game. Okay, that sounds weird, but you get the idea. And so on and so forth. It's those little things that matter. Another thing I'll give the Switch 2 is it definitely holds what the Switch 1 did, but kind of builds off of it. Obviously, it's not like GameCube to Wii, but it definitely feels like you're getting a better version of the Switch 1. I think that I'm trying to think of a better way to put this. I think that the extra charging port is actually really helpful, especially in handheld mode, because you are quite literally needing to charge when you're using the kickstand. And I remember back on the Switch 1, that was really annoying because I didn't have anything to, prop up the Switch with. And I wasn't just gonna play upside down. That's not how Switches work, obviously. But on the Switch 2, you literally don't need to do that. You just plug in the charger from the top of the Switch and you can continue playing with the kickstand. Speaking of the kickstand, it is miles better. I remember back on my old Switch 1, the kickstand was just hanging by a thread. Like, it would extend, but you couldn't use it for anything, because as soon as you put it down to, prop it up, it would just instantly give way and fall over. So, yeah, my kickstand was very floppy. That doesn't happen on the Switch 2 because, well, it's actually connected to something instead of just being removable like it was, and I think that's great. Moving along, we have the cons of the Switch 2. Magnets are alright, and I'm not against the idea of using magnetic Joy-Cons especially, as a selling point. But, there are certain times where that can get really annoying, especially if, you're trying to take your Joy-Cons off in a hurry, and I know it's not that big of a hassle to, press one singular button, but if you ask me, the Switch 1's sliding just made a lot more sense. instead of the Switch 2's magnets. That's just me though, so yeah, obviously. What else? Oh yeah, the battery life. Nintendo, how have you still not figured out how to make batteries? It's been 8 years. How have you guys not figured that out? It's not that hard. Moving along, while I do appreciate the incentive, game chat is not worth having a dedicated button, Nintendo. It's not worth it. Why do we need a dedicated button to game chat? It's not that important. I'd understand it if the game chat button was at least mappable, but it's not. It's just mapped to game chat, and there's no option to change what it does. So you just have a useless button if you don't have Switch Online. What's the point of that? There's also the other things, but mouse controls are useless too, and like if they were utilized in more games, maybe they wouldn't be as useless, but like, what purpose does this serve? It's like the IR sensor on the right Joy-Con on the first Switch. That also is not useful at all because it was only used in like one game. Nintendo, stop adding useless features, please. And now, welcome to the section that I like to call Trashing on
Mario Kart World,
because I like to do that for some reason. Okay, just kidding. But this is going to be a segment of the video dedicated to
Mario Kart World,
because I'm highly skeptical of it due to it being $80. So what are some pros and cons of this game? Well, for starters, open world Mario Kart. Doi. Character costumes are an excellent touch, and I believe that it's nice that we actually get to do that. But the problem, it resides in the character selection screen and the kart screen. Why on earth is it so bad to use, Nintendo? Why? Anyway, there's that, and due to its $80 price point, I was actually expecting Forza level free roam with like missions to do and all that stuff, but Mario Kart World doesn't do any of that, and it feels kind of lackluster. Like the open world stuff was just a main selling point, yet they don't do much with it. And that honestly is really sad. Obviously, there's like the P-switches and all that stuff, but those aren't really missions. I wouldn't classify it as. And Mario Kart World doesn't even have a story mode, so rip to that. Another thing I will note is that the CPUs seem to have gotten harder to accommodate the 24-player limit, which, oh my god, that's horrifying. And it's generally a lot more chaotic as a direct result. Intermission courses are also straight line simulator, which kind of annoys me. And I think in general, there's a lot to be done. I think now, if I recall correctly, intermission courses aren't forced in multiplayer, which is good. But yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world. So there's that. Also, crossover characters aren't present, which makes me really sad. And you can't mix and match carts anymore with wheels. And yeah, that's just it's overall just a giant mess. Ironically, traffic is way worse in Mario Kart World than any other Mario Kart game that I've played. Comparing this to like Toad's Turnpike, you're going to notice that the traffic is going to be brutal, especially in intermission courses. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot tell you the amount of times I've ran into traffic. Call it a skill issue, but like, why is the traffic so bad when it comes to Mario Kart World? I get that there's supposed to be obstacles, but there's not meant to be that much traffic in Mario Kart World. It's so weird. Another thing to note is that legacy courses, I think Moo Moo Meadows, Mario Circuit, and Wario Stadium? No, I don't think Wario Stadium. Well, some legacy courses were updated to accommodate for open world stuff, but there's not a way to access, you know, the intact legacy courses and not the updated ones. What else? Oh yeah, the coin counter got updated to 20 coins, but the speed boost appears to be exactly the same as it was previously. Certain items like the question mark block don't really make much sense. Like, I get that the question mark block is meant to give you a speed boost and give you coins, but it's kind of useless. What else? Oh yeah, fewer cups, are in Mario Kart World in comparison to something like Mario Kart 8, which had a ton of cups, but, like, why? What else happened? Oh yeah, Wonder Effects don't really do much. I mean, they do, but, like, it's rare to see that. I only saw it on Rainbow Road, and to me, they're only really there for cosmetic purposes. What else? Oh, I know one. The fact that you don't actually lose momentum when you were hit by an item is actually really nice, because it makes recovery a lot easier, especially out on the open road in Mario Kart World. Oh yeah, 150cc on Mario Kart World is arguably a bit faster than it is on Mario Kart 8. At least that's what I believe. To me, it feels more like 170cc in Mario Kart 8, but that might just be something else. Other than that, the game's solid. Anyway, I think that's all for this video, folks. I'm gonna clock it out, and I'm gonna say it right now. Overall, the Switch 2 is a very good console, and it's one of the cheapest choices you have right now. If you're looking for a Nintendo console, well, that is part of the new gen, and, you know, isn't as crazy expensive as something like the PS5 and the Xbox and the Steam Deck and the Xbox Ally and so on and so forth, your best bet is always going to be Nintendo, let's be real. As for Mario Kart World, $80 is not worth it. While I do believe the game is solid, I unfortunately cannot say that the $80 price point is justified. That's all I've got for now, folks. I've got a few new videos coming up in the next few months. Stay tuned for that. And with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.